Look, I know, with the games that we have on the table these days, we're literally at that point where we have to budget in microtransactions just to make sure we can keep getting the games we want, which is why we're sponsored today by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. This personal finance app allows you to manage subscriptions, lower your bills, build a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one place. And what I personally love, guys, is that things can just get out of hand. Subscriptions, free trials, next thing you know it, your whole bank account is gone, which is why I use Rocket Money to go in there and start cracking down on all these expenses that just gotta go. Guys, if you're looking to save more and spend less, join over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Simply go to rocketmoney.com/Aztecross or click the link in the description below to get started for absolutely free. Now, there is a premium version, but keep in mind, you can just try out the free version and just see how much this app will save you. I am beyond happy with how easy it is with Rocket Money to manage my finances. So once again, that's rocketmoney.com/Aztecross to get started on maximizing your savings today. Guys, we have got to talk about the finals. When we originally did our review, it was during the beta, and we said at that time that we thought that this game was going to be big. Potentially one of the biggest PvP games ever, but only if it released right. Fast forward to today, and it's been little over a week since its surprise release on December the 7th. And fellas, the finals is popping off. It is currently sitting at number 3 on the most played games on Steam charts, sitting right behind Counter-Strike 2 and Dota 2. Now keep in mind, we're not even including the console numbers, as the finals is present on PlayStation, Xbox, and here on PC, with crossplay. So what I'm trying to say is that this number is much higher than this. And the fact that it's only been out for a little over a week, and it's already outperforming so many titles. Now the question we want to answer today, what led to this immense success with a studio that you probably never heard of? Keep in mind, guys, this is the first ever published game by Embark Studios. Talk about coming out swinging. So let's hit the rewind button back to August of last year, when the finals was just announced. Embark Studios was founded by ex-DICE developers. Hence, the fully destructible environments, the gunplay, the big maps, everything here should feel very familiar to my Battlefield players. Now, as we mentioned before, this is Embark's first published title. It's actually got a second game they're working on called Arc Raiders, which is slated to arrive in 2024. Now, this was originally the game we were first looking at. We actually thought it was going to be a competitor to Destiny 2. However, they've actually shifted lanes here, and they're going to be making Arc Raiders an extraction looter shooter, which will compete against things like Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, the day before? No, not that game. But also Marathon, which Bungie is going to be pushing out at some point in 2025. And it's interesting because originally Marathon was supposed to be coming out in 2024, but we've heard through the grapevine that feedback for Marathon wasn't that positive. Now, I actually think it's a couple of things. Number one, probably was some of the feedback from some of those Marathon players. But number two, if the finals is any indication of what Arc Raiders will be like when it finally launches, holy hell, guys, it's gonna blow the competition out of the water. Now, it's not to say that the finals didn't have hiccups. Back in its closed alpha, and even in its closed betas, there was a number of things that the developers were constantly fine-tuning. And luckily, they heard the feedback. And again, back then, the game was apparently very poorly optimized, at least in the early stages of its beta. Things like game crashes, hitches, lag spikes, especially when the mass destruction occurred in the arena. But something happened. By the time the open beta rolled around in November, the finals, which runs on Unreal Engine 5, seemed to have eliminated all of those issues. The gameplay was smooth. It looked amazing. The gunplay phenomenal. And no matter how destructive we were, at least for our rigs, the game ran perfectly. Now let's jump to present day. During the 2023 Game Awards that was held over a week ago, Embark surprised everybody when they announced that the finals was now live for everyone to get their hands on and start playing. And since then, the finals has already been a massive hit. Fellas, I'm addicted, and I'm sure many of you are already addicted. Every single game is different. You see, what we want as a PvP player is the ability to fine-tune our skills between each and every single game. But because you have destructive environments, every encounter changes the dynamic of the game. Now I want to talk about what Embark has done here since the launch of the game. They've added a ton of new additions and changes to the game with this full release. I want to talk about game modes first though. Similar to the open beta, you still have quick play playlists featuring both quick cash and bank it. However, unlike the open beta, where you were allowed to hop straight into tournaments and begin doing ranked, now you have to start off in the quick play playlists. Now for new players, obviously this is great. This gives you an opportunity to get familiar with the mechanics of the game, figure out which class suits you, which is split up between light, heavy, and warlock mediums, each having their pros and cons. And after about 12 rounds of quick play, you'll eventually gain access to tournament mode. But keep in mind, this is not for ranked tournaments. You see, Embark wants you to actually play 48 rounds. That can be 48 games games of quick play or 48 rounds of tournament mode, which means ranked tournaments will require 60 rounds in total. Now, I've seen some complaints about this. Some folks want to jump into ranked tournaments immediately, and yes, it is grindy. However, this is the only barrier to entry, and the one thing that will tear this game down is cheaters. You see, guys, this game is free to play, meaning there is no paywall there to keep cheaters out. The only barrier they have is requiring 60 rounds. Now, unfortunately, I have already run into cheaters. It's not often, but it is noticeable when you do. I've had people with SMGs beaming me from across the map, insta-killing me. You've got folks out there with wall hacks already in a game that already gives you a class with wall hacks. But it's things like this that will destroy your game. Now, I'm not saying the game is infested with cheaters. Reality is, it's pretty much every PvP game is. And as a Destiny player, we have definitely had our shares of woes with cheaters over the years. The difference is that Destiny is a PvE game, so if PvP starts becoming too infested with cheaters and I get mad, well, I just pack my bag and go do a dungeon or a raid. But you can't do that here in the finals. It's PvP only, meaning this game will live or die based on its ability to keep cheaters out. That is actually going to be arguably the biggest hurdle here for Embark Studios. Now, I think they're actually making the correct investments because it's not just the finals that's at risk. It's also Arc Raiders. What they do here is going to greatly affect their extraction shooter when it finally launches. So this is not something they can be cheap about. Now, I will say the grand scheme of things, I haven't seen that many cheaters. I've had maybe 2 games with cheaters and that's it. But as time goes on, as people begin to get past that 60 round barrier, when you start seeing burn accounts being sold online, that's when you should be concerned. And again, those are the people that are willing to use cheats that are blatantly obvious. We're not even talking about folks that take advantage of Zim or Cronus, wall hacks, recoil mitigation mods, things like this, guys, that are hard to really tell. Because you'll be watching people's gameplay and you're like, wow, this guy is just really good. He's maintaining his recoil phenomenally. Better check them programs, man. So again, I cannot stress how important it is for Embark to go all out when it comes to their anti-cheats. Now, on top of these playlist updates, the finals has introduced quite a few new things. And this kind of will give you an indication of what's to come in the future. They gave us a new map themed around Las Vegas. They've also given us a throwing knife, which the light class can equip. It's actually pretty satisfying to use this. A ton of smaller patches on day 1, a number of cosmetics, an Elvis outfit, and oh yeah, you can have a cat on your shoulder. It serves no purpose in battle. It just looks cute. Now, when looking at the fine tunings they did there in terms of nerfs and buffs, and again, this was the day 1 sandbox changes. You could see them going in there and surgically dealing with certain things that were pain points back during the beta. Now, I know some of you are probably like, Cross, why wouldn't the developers know what to do when it comes to sandbox tuning? You would be surprised. Now, some of this was just common sense, right? Stun gun for sure. That was way too powerful back in the beta. But even little things that I didn't think would need a nerf, but probably needed it. Things like the flamethrower. And hell, even buffs that were given out to certain weapons, especially buffs that help consistency. It's things like this that if Embark continues to do, the finals won't just be a flash in the pan, but will continue to burn for many years. Now, I will say this game will live or die on not only on its anti-cheat, but also its updates. You see, right now, everyone is crazy about this game. And I do. I love it. I have so much fun playing it. I love the destruction. I love that games can go either way so quickly. I also love that this game is both absolutely amazing to play and at the same time fun to watch. You see, some games are only fun to play. And when you watch it, you're like bored out of your mind. You don't feel that with the finals. And actually, this game can be somewhat stressful because it can go either way. One moment you're winning, the next second you've been knocked down to 3rd or last place and you're not qualifying for the next round. When you're in ranked tournaments, you feel like you are in a tournament with a knockout system all the way to the top until you're the final 2 teams. Now, funny enough, the final 2 teams is not always the best 2 teams. Matter of fact, there were multiple times while I was playing ranked that if there was a team that was slaying out and they were in 2nd place, I would intentionally sabotage them, allowing for either the 3rd place or 4th place team that might have less kills to get the cash out. And we would proceed to sabotage, kill the opposing team, or at least hinder them to keep that weaker team in the game. And if we were successful, we could enter into that final round with a weaker team to 1v1. It's little things like this that pushes you to pay attention round after round. This is not one of those games where you're like, okay, I'm in round 1, I'm gonna chill. You try doing that, next thing you know, you're getting knocked. And that's how it is, man. And you will lose rank. First round knocks are brutal, especially in the later ranks, as this will take a chunk of your rank away. Now, as far as the meta, again, we have light, medium, and heavy players. What I have seen is actually 2 mediums and 1 heavy pretty much on every team. Occasionally, you may see like a triple light team, which is nuts. And I would never recommend doing triple of anything. In my opinion, the best synergy, and I think Embark has done a really good job here, is 1 medium, 1 light, and 1 heavy. Again, each class offers pros and cons. And I would much rather have a squad of all 3 classes lightweights versus just the commit there to 2 mediums and 1 heavy. Granted, it's easier to play 2 mediums and 1 heavy, and that does seem to be the meta for now. But from what I've observed, if you get in there and you learn that class, whether it is a light or a medium or a heavy, and you have one of each, that to me is the better play. Now, is Embark looking to get involved with things like Twitch Rivals, get involved with actual tournaments? Are they looking to inject funds into this game? I think we're gonna have to wait for that, guys. I was in close contact though with Embark Studios all the way leading up to the launch of the finals. Let me just say that it's definitely on the table. The last time I saw a game in this position was actually Epic Games with Fortnite, and they had to make a decision. Do we cash out now or do we double down? Do we inject everything we got into this game knowing that it's gonna be a winner? I think Embark is sitting on something huge here. Now, I will say for Arc Raiders, I am a bit concerned. Not that I don't think Arc Raiders won't be a good game, but depending on how successful the finals actually is, I do wonder how much development will be taken away from Arc Raiders with the focus being directed here at the finals. Again, you saw it there with Epic Games and Fortnite. So many things got axed when Fortnite became the new baby. But again, only time will tell. In the meantime, guys, try out the finals. It's completely free to play, unless you want the battle pass or this Elvis outfit or this kitty cat, but the game is a hell of a lot of fun. And it feels so good to be seeing an arena shooter make such a big splash. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.